Stop feeling nervous when giving your opinion in English. Learn the exact phrases to sound powerful and confident. Like, subscribe, and watch until the end to find out more. Let's get started.
Hi, Liam. I was wondering, how can I express my opinion in English without feeling nervous or confused?
That's a great question, Emma. And you can start with simple phrases like I think, I believe, and in my opinion, which already make you sound clear and confident.
Really?
Yes, because these expressions give you a structure so your brain doesn't panic, you see?
Wow, but why do I always try to translate everything before speaking?
That happens because your brain wants to be perfect, but translation slows you down and breaks your fluency.
Interesting. So, what should I do instead? Because I feel like there's much more behind this, right?
You should start using ready-made chunks, like I think it's a good idea, because that makes your speech faster and more natural. Exactly.
Now I'm curious to learn more, you see?
And that's great, because as you practice these chunks, expressing your opinion becomes easier and more automatic.
So, if I want to give a basic opinion, what should I say?
You can say, I think this is good, or in my opinion, this works better.
And how do I agree with someone?
You can say, I agree. That's true, or exactly.
Wow, that sounds simple.
It is simple, and that's why it works so well. I use exactly a lot because it's easy and natural, you see?
Now that you said it, I did notice, right?
Exactly. See? You're already using it naturally.
And what if I don't agree, but I don't want to sound rude?
You can say, I'm not sure about that, or I see it differently, which sounds polite and natural.
Really?
Yes, and it helps you stay respectful while expressing your opinion.
Interesting, but sometimes I want to sound stronger in my opinion.
Then you can use expressions like, I strongly believe, or I'm convinced that.
Wow, that sounds powerful.
Sure, and it shows confidence.
And what if I want to sound less strong?
You can soften your opinion by saying, it seems to me that, or I guess.
So I can control how strong I sound?
Yes, sure. You control the intensity of your opinion.
And how can I ask someone else for their opinion?
You can say, what do you think? Or, how do you feel about that?
That's easy, right?
Exactly. And it keeps the conversation flowing.
Interesting, but how do I connect my ideas when I'm explaining something?
You can use connectors like also, in addition, or moreover.
Wow, that makes it sound more organized.
Yes, and it helps your listener follow your idea.
And how do I show a different opinion?
You can say, however, on the other hand, or but.
I use but all the time.
That's normal, and it works perfectly in conversations.
And how do I finish my idea?
You can say, so, basically, or that's why.
Interesting. That makes everything clearer.
Exactly. It gives your speech a natural ending.
But why do I still feel nervous when I speak?
Because you are trying to be perfect instead of being natural.
Really?
Yes, and that creates hesitation and breaks your confidence.
Wow, that explains a lot.
Sure, and once you accept mistakes, your fluency improves.
So mistakes are okay?
Yes, mistakes are part of the process, you see?
That makes me feel better.
Good, because confidence grows when you speak more, not when you wait to be perfect.
And how can I sound natural in conversations?
Use simple and common phrases instead of complicated sentences.
Like what?
Instead of saying, in my personal opinion, I believe that, just say, I think.
Wow, that's much shorter.
Exactly, and more natural.
And what about work situations?
In professional contexts, you can say, I would suggest, or I think we should.
Interesting. That sounds more polite.
Yes, and it's very common in meetings.
And how do I interrupt politely?
You can say, sorry to interrupt, but can I add something?
That sounds very professional.
Sure, and it keeps the conversation respectful.
And what if I disagree at work?
You can say, I see your point, but I think we could try something else.
Wow, that sounds very smooth.
Yes, because you show respect before disagreeing.
Interesting. And how can I be more persuasive?
You can say, I would suggest we try this approach.
Haha, that sounds like a leader.
Exactly. It shows initiative and confidence.
And how can I practice all of this?
You can practice by talking about daily topics like movies or technology.
Really?
Yes. For example, you can say, I think this movie is great.
That sounds easy.
Sure. And repetition builds fluency.
And what about real situations?
You can imagine conversations like talking to a friend or presenting an idea.
Interesting. Like role play?
Yes, sure. That helps your brain prepare for real situations.
And are there expressions that native speakers use?
Yes. For example, to be on the same page means to agree.
Wow, that's useful.
Another one is to speak your mind, which means to express your opinion honestly.
Haha, I like that one.
It's very common in everyday conversations.
And what is play devil's advocate?
It means to present an opposite opinion just to explore ideas.
Interesting. That sounds advanced.
Yes, but you can start using it little by little.
So, what is the most important thing I should remember?
The most important thing is to speak without translating and use simple, natural phrases.
And will that really improve my confidence?
Yes, because fluency comes from repetition and natural thinking, not perfection.
Wow, I feel more confident already.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
So, I just need to start speaking every day, right?
Yes, speak every day, use simple chunks, and trust the process. You see?
How can I respond naturally in daily conversations without overthinking?
You can use short and common responses like, I think so, I guess so, or that makes sense, which sound natural and quick.
Really?
Yes, because natural speech is simple and not overly complicated.
Interesting, but sometimes I freeze and don't know what to say.
In those moments, you can use filler phrases like, well, let me think, or that's a good question.
Huh. So I don't need to be silent?
Exactly. These fillers give your brain time to think while you keep speaking.
Wow, that helps a lot, right?
Yes, and it makes you sound more fluent.
And how can I give my opinion quickly in a casual situation?
You can say, I think it's great, or I don't like it much, or it's not my favorite.
That sounds easy.
Sure, because simple language is powerful.
And how can I react to someone's opinion?
You can say, that's interesting. I see what you mean. Or, exactly.
Wow, I hear that all the time.
Yes, because these are natural spoken chunks.
And what if I want to disagree in a friendly way?
You can say, I get your point, but I see it differently.
That sounds very polite.
Exactly. And it keeps the conversation positive.
Interesting. And
how can I sound more engaged in a conversation?
You can ask follow-up questions like, "Why do you think that?" Or, "What makes you say that?"
Wow, that keeps the conversation going.
Yes, and it shows interest.
And how do I organize my ideas when I speak longer?
You can use phrases like first, also, and so basically.
That makes it clearer.
Exactly. It helps your listener follow your thinking.
And what about giving opinions in a work meeting?
You can say, "I think this approach works well," or "I would suggest trying this."
That sounds professional.
Yes, and very natural in business English.
And how do I interrupt politely in a meeting?
You can say, "Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to add something."
Wow, that's very useful.
Exactly, and it shows respect.
And what if I disagree with a colleague?
You can say, "I see your point, but I think we should consider another option."
That sounds very balanced.
Yes, because you acknowledge before disagreeing.
Interesting. And how can I persuade someone?
You can say, "I would suggest we try this," or "I believe this could work better."
That sounds convincing.
Sure, and it shows confidence without being aggressive.
And how can I practice expressing opinions about real topics?
You can talk about news, technology, or daily life using simple phrases.
Like what?
For example, "I think technology is changing fast," or "I believe this is important."
That seems manageable.
Exactly, and practice builds fluency.
And what about role-playing situations?
You can imagine a dinner with friends and say, "I think this food is amazing."
That's fun.
Or imagine a presentation and say, "I would suggest this strategy."
Wow, that feels more real.
Yes, and your brain learns faster with context.
And can idioms help me sound more natural?
Yes, for example, "We're on the same page" means you agree.
Interesting.
Another one is, "Let me play devil's advocate," which introduces a different perspective.
Wow, that sounds advanced.
Yes, but you can start using it step by step.
And what does speak your mind mean?
It means to express your opinion honestly.
I like that expression.
It's very useful in conversations.
And what is the biggest mistake learners make?
They try to sound perfect instead of natural.
Really?
Yes, and that causes hesitation and stress.
Wow, I do that all the time.
Sure, but now you are more aware, you see?
Yes, that's true.
And awareness is the first step to improvement.
So what should I focus on from now on?
Focus on simple phrases, daily practice, and speaking without translating.
And will I really become fluent like this?
Yes, because fluency is built through repetition and confidence.
Wow, that gives me hope.
Exactly. And you are already improving, right?
Yes, I feel more confident now.
That's great. And confidence grows every time you speak.
So, what is the final tip here?
The final tip is to trust simple English, use natural chunks, and speak every day without fear.
And what should I do starting today?
Start speaking daily, even if it's just a few sentences. Don't translate. Just express your ideas naturally, and if you want to go further, check out the next video on the screen. Advanced English Phrases for Daily Conversations. See you there.
Bye!